Welcome, Yuko.
Thank you for inviting me.
I am I'm very happy to have you on the show. You're my first guest from Japan.
Wow, I'm so honored. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, and I'm very curious to learn more about the impact of the Japanese culture on facilitation and what facilitation in Japan means.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And I'm so excited to share a little about my facilitation or our practice.
and I always start with the same question.
Okay.
When did you start calling yourself a facilitator?
Wow. I love this question. I started calling myself a facilitator about 12 years ago when I decided to shift in my career into facilitation. So yeah, back then I used to work at the IT industry as a consultant. So
Oh,
yeah, their typical style is to provide best practice directly to the client. So yeah, but what I really struck me about facilitation is not giving them to the answer, but we're supporting team in finding their own solution, empowering the process. So yeah, the process was much more meaningful to me. So.
hmm.
Mm.
And does it come natural in Japan to the groups to be to themselves think about the solution, the answer, instead of listening to a consultant?
Well, in Japan, lately things is getting changing, but mostly our education is, how can I say, not one way, but receiving a teaching from the teacher. So, like the 12 years ago, it was more like not completely new, but yeah, kind of new stuff to implementing, empowering team to finding their own solution by themselves.
Mm. And if I may, um, what is the role of authority of the facilitator?
Authority. Wow. Hmm. Authority.
Authority is like a
Yeah.
parent to the children, like the boss to the employees. It's
Yeah.
power.
Um, I think from my perspective, facilitator is a kind of privilege
Mm,
to lead or support of the space. But comparing to the trainer or consultant, the sounds is like more less power than um, people who have strong authority.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah. Maybe a more philosophical question. But
Okay.
how would you describe the essence of what facilitation is in Japan?
Simply put, in Japan, the essence of facilitation is creating and nurturing psychological safety, where people can share their true feeling and opinions. So, let me introduce a little bit about this cultural background. From elementary school all the way to um, new employee training, we grown up doing a lot of group activities
Hmm.
because we value group harmony over openly state our individual opinions.
Hmm.
Um, Compared to other Western culture, people in Japan tended to assert themselves less.
Mm.
In addition, there's a strong cultural norm. of not wanting cause inconvenience to others.
Mm,
So sometime during the workshop in Japan, people just get along with instruction
mhm,
without um, genuine engagement or interest.
mm,
So yeah, in other words, doing activity on the surface. And when we learn workshop, we sometimes think about the framework like divergence and convergence,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I heard from Western colleagues, so yeah, correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
Western participants can do very quick to throw out their idea
Mhm.
during brainstorming, and then they need more time for convergence,
Yeah.
pick up which idea is best for them.
Mhm.
But in Japan, the situation is completely opposite.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. So, in Japan, people need to time to drown out our opinion in calm and quiet atmosphere.
Mhm.
So, yeah, people need more time for draw out our
Mhm.
ideas. So in Japan, many facilitators tend to care to create a safe space to invite gradually um, to actually speak up.
Mm. So the individual ideas are more difficult and need more safety.
Yes,
And then
exactly.
convergence is easy because you have trained convergence. That's what
Yes.
you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Japanese people tend to think more before speaking.
Yeah.
So even though, okay, let's speak up in any small stuff, yeah, people try to select their ideas before speaking.
Mm.
So yeah, conversions take less time compared with Western cultures people.
Mm. Thank you. And you said in the beginning that the essence of facilitation is to create safety. So
Yes,
for feelings to be there.
right, right.
And then when I hear you speak that it's difficult to brainstorm individual ideas, is it also difficult to really accept feelings and emotions in the work? Do you show emotions?
Ah, wow. It's a quite interesting question to Japanese perspective. Well, showing emotion is a bit less um compared to Western culture, I think. So, people hesitate to express directly in front of many people or public setting.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I often invite more indirect individual expression, like choosing visual card or writing down post-it, or drawing, or creating something by Lego. Those kind of indirect communication is more well received in
Mm.
Japan.
Mm. And the indirectness, is it because of protecting someone's individual status or face, or is it more about not stepping on someone else's toes or
Uh,
hierarchy or
yeah. There's a many aspect of this point. The one thing is, especially in business context, our organization is more hierarchical.
Mhm.
So people tend to hesitate to speak up in front of their boss. So
Mhm.
yeah, so our facilitator really pay attention to who should be invited or how we group up. And another aspect is, well, uh, okay, especially in English workshop, um, we don't want to make a mistake in front of others.
Mm,
Yeah, that is a strong cultural norm. So, um, as you might know, our Japanese people are not accustomed to speak up in English
mm,
in our daily life. So, especially compared to a Japanese workshop and English workshop, um, in English workshop, people are more hesitate to speak up.
mm. Yeah.
So, yeah, sometimes from our perspective, some Japanese are very talkative and expressive in Japanese workshop, but maybe you see Japanese participant in English workshop, right?
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. From your perspective, many Japanese people remain silent or quiet in the workshop, I think.
Yeah. What would be maybe two questions? You said that Japanese tend to first think and then speak. So there's more reflection and more time. What is then the role of silence? Because many Western facilitators are afraid of silence. So they ask a question and then nobody says anything. And then they start to fill and speak, speak, speak.
Okay.
And I can imagine that in Japan, it's dangerous to speak too much.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, may I answer this question
Yes, yes.
first? Yeah. So I think silence and pause plays an important role in Japanese conversation. And I assume from Western's perspective, our conversation looks a bit slower and includes lots of pause and quiet.
Hmm.
And yeah, sometimes I assist international facilitator to work with Japanese participant, and they're always surprised how quiet Japanese people are. And yeah, they felt nervous and try to fill in the silence. But in our culture, silence is not negative. Technically, some people might feel awkward, but I guess many people do not. So silence and pause have we regards a space. Um, yeah, we regard space to something emerge or something for reflecting ourselves to find out new inside of ourselves. So yeah, maybe as experienced facilitator, try to intentionally incorporate silence into the workshop. For example, we might create a pause before recorrecting, or I might sometimes invite participants to write or draw silently before speaking to organize their ideas. So, yeah, we not to at least we not try to fill in the silence. We're very comfortable for
Yeah.
silence and pause.
Would you then play music? Or is it really silent silence? Do
Ah,
you use music in
yes.
workshops?
Yes, yes. Sometimes it really depends.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's completely silent for reflection, but sometimes, yeah, we tune on the some kind of music
Yeah.
to create atmosphere.
When you said you assist Western facilitators,
Yeah, sometimes.
what do you think, except of the filling the silence, what
Mhm.
is maybe a mistake they're making? And how can we as Western facilitators accommodate better Japanese participants?
Well, um, I don't think there have a mistake because every facilitator have different style.
Mm,
But um, one thing I might or pick up, or one thing Western facilitator might pick up from our approach is how we listen to everyone's voice in the group setting or at least for a workshop. Maybe it might reflect our culture,
mm,
but in Japan, if we have group discussion, um, at, at least people try to invite everyone's voice equally. Maybe
mm,
it's almost doing unconsciously because we, for example, um, if someone remains silent during the group conversation, we regards this is a kind of corrective responsibility.
mm,
We are part of in this situation. So at least we try to invite people who haven't spoken yet. But from what I learned from Western facilitator, those are more personal matter, like
mm.
the person who just um not to speak up. So yeah, at least Japanese participant or Japanese facilitator try to invite everyone's voice as much as possible. So yeah, inviting a small voice as much as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Because so when I facilitate, I would look at the body language, and sometimes there is someone I can see they want to speak but don't.
Oh.
Then I would invite them.
Mm-hmm,
But if I
mm-hmm.
don't see that, I would not, air quotes, force someone or put someone on the spot.
Wow. Yeah, sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe at the beginning of a workshop, I might invite the person who something like
yeah,
try to speak up,
yeah.
but as gradually time goes, I might see someone who haven't spoken yet.
Hmm.
And then, okay, do you have any idea or um yeah, do you have anything to add or
Yeah,
something like that?
yeah. Very interesting. Mm, when I'd be curious to speak about friction or conflict,
Mhm. All right.
um,
Right.
because you mentioned that in Japanese groups you spend more time on the brainstorming because it
Mm,
needs more guidance and more facilitation to make it easier to come up with individual ideas. And
mm,
then the convergence is faster.
right.
How about the space in the middle where you realize that there is friction, there are different opinions? How do you deal with that in the workshop with friction and conflict?
Ah, yeah. In general, I think Japanese people tended to avoid friction or confrontation.
Hmm.
So we don't usually straight jump into friction and open debate.
Hmm.
So In my case, I often start by creating space for indirect individual expression
Mm-hmm.
first, beginning of the workshop. For example, I once facilitate a post M&A workshop
Mm-hmm.
to help two companies integrate their cultures. So at the time, many employees still have attachment for previous company's culture. So yeah, their attachment was becoming barrier to form new shared identity. So I used a set of visual card and invite people in their original company's group to choose card that represented their strengths and weakness and the essence of what they want to bring into new cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that would take time as a divergence, but and then once their perspective were visualized and shared, we could open up more broader discussion about what kind of culture we want to co-create for the future. So yeah, in the middle, yeah, we need step by step and generous time for diversions. And yeah, in the middle, once we shared um, our different perspective or different perspectives, yeah, we can jump into the discussion.
And then, if I understand correctly, it is less about the personal opinions and it's more general. 'Cause-
Ah, ye yes. Um, yeah, yeah, in Japan, sometimes we try to create group opinion, not invite individual opinion.
Mm,
Yeah, it really depends on the situation and part of the workshop. But oh, sometimes, okay, let's share their personal opinion or feeling in the small safe group
mhm.
and create a group's opinion.
And then share
Yeah,
out.
and then share to entire group. So that process is very
Yeah.
basic um,
And
step in.
yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. I work similarly because personal
Oh,
opinions in the big group is
mhm.
usually not a good idea.
Wow.
Mm, how do you, but still in the small groups, how do you avoid something like leadership bias? So if there is the leader in a small group, everyone agrees to the leader.
Mm,
Or is it a problem or not? And how do you counterbalance that?
well, usually in Japan, we pay close attention to how group up or who we should invite for the workshop because, yeah, if we discuss with their boss or senior, um, some people feel barrier to speak up
Hmm.
their honest feeling or opinion.
Hmm.
So yeah, those kind of structure, yeah, is how we set up, how we create safe space is yeah crucial in Japan. So yeah, we really care about the hierarchy and the privilege, and so which part of authority is affecting workshop.
Hmm. Does this mean that sometimes authority is not invited?
Yes. Sometimes. we don't invite their boss or yeah, authority or high rank person into the
Mhm.
workshop. Yeah.
This makes a lot of sense.
Is it the same as Western cultures, or is there a different approach of
So it depends. I think it's difficult to say, to generalize the Western cultures because, for instance,
right.
I live in the Netherlands and I'm German. So
Mm.
hierarchies are usually very flat
Mm.
and it's easy to speak on eye level to the boss
Mm.
in general. And they are different. They're exceptions. I think if you go into a traditional company in Germany, there might be hierarchies and the boss is more like the
Oh,
authority figure.
okay. Yeah, figure
And
out.
yeah, and then if you go, I think, to France or to Spain or Italy, there's more hierarchy.
Wow.
But
I
then,
didn't.
yeah, and I, and then it depends on the boss. I had situations where I said, maybe it's better not to invite the boss. And then the boss wasn't happy.
Yeah, they always try to jump in, but yeah, sometimes those kind of boundary is important to
Yeah,
create safe.
yeah. And then to decide when is it best for the leader or the person in power to speak first, if they can show vulnerability, and when it's best to speak last.
Ah, right, right. Yeah, I agree with that.
And you spoke about psychological safety. Is there a word for psychological safety in Japanese? And what does it mean in your culture?
I think it's same meaning of creating safe space
Mhm.
where people can share their true feeling and their opinion, not less hesitate to be become vulnerability.
Mm, yeah, so it is the same.
Yes, yes.
Very interesting. Um, and do you do you also work with with groups that are mixed with Western participants and Japanese?
Uh, yes, sometimes. Not many opportunity, unfortunately, but yeah, sometimes I conduct a merge culture workshop, including
Mm,
Japanese and people from Western cultures.
this sounds very complex.
Yes, it is.
How do you balance the needs for silence, pause, friction, sharing personal things?
Well, that is something I always struggling with, but incorporating and embracing those cultural difference, I usually try to address this cultural difference explicitly, like either through the context I set or sometime in the check-in activity
Mm,
themselves. So to highlight the diversity of participant. So once the difference are out in the open, at least it's easier to be kind or thoughtful for one other, right?
yeah.
So yeah, sometimes like I invite introduce self-introduce activities like I ask people to move to one side of the room if their communication style is more tended to be straightforward, and then to the other side if their styles tend to be more indirect.
Mm,
Yeah, that's kind of a light-hearted way to surface. Um, the different without judgment is, yeah, something I usually try to.
Mm. And then also recognize who in the workshop then speaks and how to interpret.
Yes, yes, yes. Those, yeah, those um, surface indifference is important, I think.
Mm.
And another approach is sometimes I invite a group by similar cultural background at the beginning of the workshop
Mm.
and ask them to create ground rule for the workshop. So that way they can reflect on their own norm first, and then they can gradually open up the space for more intercultural dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would be standard ground rules in for your Japanese workshops?
Um, I have good one. I think the most common ground rule for Japanese people is a kind of inviting speak up. So,
Mm.
hey, please, let's try to speak up. Or sometime, um, okay, listen to everyone's voice.
Mhm.
I think these are common ground rule for Japanese participant.
Yeah. It's funny for usually in my, if I have ground rules, one is listen a little bit louder,
Ah,
listen
wow,
more,
there's some more.
and speak
Wow,
less,
that's okay. Wow, I need to memorize that for the next workshop.
but maybe not in a Japanese one. And one is make I statements. So
Ah,
speak about your
wow.
personal experience and your personal opinion. And I can
Mm.
see how this is very different than in Japan.
Wow, wow, wow. Like I message, right?
Yeah,
From
exactly.
interesting.
Would be interesting to have standard ground rules next to each other to compare.
Yeah, right, right. I heard my Indian's colleague and they try to pose ground rule like silent is another
Oh,
participant. So,
oh, you
so
don't have to
oh
tell this Japanese.
yeah. Yeah, so wow, so interesting.
Yeah,
So I um didn't come up that ground rule in Japanese culture.
yeah.
So
And I interviewed Katerina last week on the Maori in New Zealand and their facilitation. And
mhm.
she said the most important is to bring all of your feelings and emotions into the room. So she doesn't like to speak about cards because then you're not talking about yourself and you're not bringing your emotions. They would sing and shout. Um,
Wow, sing and shout. Wow. That is a bit hurdle for Japanese participant.
yeah,
Think, wow. But those differences are quite interesting for
yeah.
me.
So for my what I assume and I would be curious is that there's a lot happening in the preparation. What is the role of preparation? So how much happens before the workshop
You mean to say for facilitator or
and
for
with the group, both?
okay. Well, for facilitator, I think facilitator in Japan spend many time for preparation
Mm.
because as I think for Japanese facilitator, preparation is very important because our culture tended to avoid uncertainty.
Mm.
So, yeah, we don't need to unexpected surprise in the
Mm-hmm.
workshop. So yeah, sometimes I work with international facilitator, like co-facilitator, and I found Japanese facilitator more spend time for preparation, not to how can I say, not to unexpected
Mm-hmm.
happen.
Yeah.
Mm, so yeah, we are a bit meticulous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for participant, um, honestly, compared to other culture, Japanese participants are quite punctual. So, um, so it's less time to how can I say, warm people up
Mm.
um before the workshop. So sometime when I join as a participant in the international workshop, um, people tend to spend more time before the workshop to making atmosphere and creating comfortable space, waiting for people. But yeah, in Japan, maybe it might be the reason to take time for divergence. But yeah, people um less time to um yeah, less time before
Yeah.
workshop.
When I hear minimizing uncertainty, uh,
Yes.
I is it there's so much to unpack because there are a lot of facilitators I have interviewed who believe in emergence. So yes, they
Mm,
have an agenda, but once they come in the room, they realize we need something else.
right,
And
right.
then they throw the agenda away.
Yeah, right,
And this is uncertainty for the facilitator, but it's also uncertainty for the group.
right.
Would you do this in Japan?
Uh, honestly, yes.
Mm,
Um, but it might be depends on the case. So yeah, we try to prepare as much as possible and try to stick to the agenda. But yeah, as you mentioned, we are space for something to emerge.
mhm.
So if different things is pop up and we regard it's really important for the group, okay, so we sometimes throw it away
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
of my our original agenda and then focus on the things we came up. But sometime in the business um, context, yeah, client needed to stick to the program. If the workshop is the first workshop or the initial stage of the workshop to gain the trust of client.
mhm.
So it really depends on the case, but facilitator um, at least try to incorporate uncertainty, even though
Yeah.
we try to prepare
Mitigate.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And this makes a lot of sense. I think it's the same for me and in Western. The better you have prepared, the easier it is to be present and to say, we do something different.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very true. What remains your facilitation challenge?
Well, so far, most of my facilitation experience is in Japan, or at least within other Asian countries. So I'd really love to grow into a facilitator who can work more inclusively across cultures. So yeah, especially in more global setting.
Mm,
And yeah, to be honest, I still feel a little hesitant when facilitating a workshop in English, especially for native speakers. So, but that exactly why I want to gain more experience that area. So
mm.
if anyone listen to this podcast interested in working together, I'd happy to yeah connect.
Wonderful. I will put your contact in the show notes. Yeah. Um, yeah, we learn the most by doing, right?
Yes,
And by
exactly.
collaborating.
Yeah, collaborating is yeah what that is most important factor, I think, to
Yeah.
learn.
Um, and also I find it sometimes very confrontational to co-facilitate because you
Mm,
realize how different the approaches are, the preferences, lots of
yeah,
preparation, no preparation, emergent, stick to the plan.
yes, yes. Yeah, I love co-facilitation, learning from different culture, different personality, and different expertise. So,
What would be your advice to your younger self when you just started facilitating?
wow. I love this question. If I could one piece of advice to younger self, I think I'd say don't always look for value and learning outside yourself.
Mm,
When I started working as a facilitator, there are not many people doing facilitation as a profession. So I felt the pressure to catch up. So I took lots of course or read so many books and try to absorb as much as I could. And of course, all of them helped. It get me methodology or technique or perspective. But as many facilitator knows, facilitation isn't just about technique.
mm,
It's also about our presence and attitude. So just being grounded and trusting participant in the process, we can already provide the positive influence in the room. So that is something I didn't realize first, and it took me a long time to truly understand it. And
mm,
I would say same goes for culture aspect of facilitation. So when I was younger, I was look for maybe best practice is coming from other countries or
mm,
yeah. But now I've come to realize there's real value in unique way we facilitate in Japan. So we have our own styles and our own rhythm and our own forms of cares. So they are just meaningful. So, yeah,
mm.
our cultural background, our natural way of being is that's a part of strength as a facilitator.
Can I ask two follow-up questions?
Absolutely.
Is one is because it also came up in my interview with Katerina that
Mhm.
when she started facilitating, all the literature came from the West. So it was American methodologies and activities that did not fit.
Mm.
And so I would be curious, how did it change and what is then if we would read a Japanese facilitation book, what would we find?
In Japan,
Mhm,
yes. Now we have many books. We can find many books about facilitation in Japanese, and it's written about the Japanese practice.
mhm,
So yeah, maybe our history is about approximately 20, um, 20 years around that. So
Mm,
we have a non-profit organization called um, Facilitators Association of Japan, and the organization is established more than 20 years ago, and many facilitator try to create network and learn together.
mm,
So recently, um, yeah, there are many books written about the Japanese facilitation
mm.
techniques.
Beautiful. And then I assume it's more rooted in your traditions and the and Japanese rituals.
Uh, yeah, I guess so. Um, Maybe at the time I started working as a facilitator, most of book about facilitation technique is coming from maybe Western culture or
Hmm.
American culture. But after spending 20 years, we have a lot of case study for Japanese society.
Mm,
So yeah, we can find many books about the case study of so which technique is appropriate in which situation, or um, yeah,
um, one last question,
yes,
personal. Um,
please.
you mentioned that, and I 100% agree, that facilitation is the inner work.
Mm-hmm.
So to find trust in ourselves. Um, what is a
Totally.
practice? What is one practice that you have has helped you to develop this confidence or to do the inner work, so to speak?
Well, to enhance, um, okay, um, okay, this is my personal habit, but it's a meditation
Mm,
is one custom. Um, People might see meditation as a practice, as a facilitator, but to me is a part of um, yeah, part of enhancement to be more sensitivity
mm,
to gain more sensitivity about uh, what am I feeling now, or what um, do I want to share it from inside of my heart.
mm,
So that kind of sensitivity feeling inside is really important. Not maybe it's not only for facilitators in Japan, but many experiments facilitator would feel same stuff. But to me, it's also important to become yeah, to be sensitive about what I feel now. So yeah, meditation is a good not technique, but good habit. Yeah,
yeah,
to nurture our self-confidence and self-assurance.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much,
much.
Yuka, for your
Yeah, thank
time
you. A great
and your openness
opportunity.
in sharing and allowing me to ask all the ignorant questions.
Thank you so much for a wonderful opportunity. I'm so honored.
And I will put your contact details in the show notes. So whoever
Mhm.
is interested to work with you and learn more from you
Mhm.
and find you there.
Yeah, thank you so much. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a wonderful
you.
weekend.